In the last video, we took my brother's DRZ and started converting it into an adventure bike. We took the wheels, trued them up, put some new tires on them, new bearings, changed the gearing to be a little more suitable for some highway uses, changed the oil, you all learned why I like to put cardboard down, and installed a skid plate.
Ian's bike, it is a Supermoto, but he wants it to be an adventure bike. So we'll bolt some parts on and then we'll get it all ready, and then we'll go on an adventure.
Unfortunately, our audio problems did continue a little bit into this video as well. Now, I can't read lips, but luckily I do know what I was talking about. Basically, the fan on the DRZ, it'll come on eventually, but I think everybody wants their fan to come on a little bit earlier. So what I was saying is, wouldn't it be nice if you could control the fan with a little button, but still keep all of its functionality? And that's exactly what we're going to do. So here's our fan on our DRZ. We've got positive power and negative power. If we just send those to the fan, well, the fan would just run all the time. So we don't do that. This is something that works off a switch power. So if the key's not in the ignition, this fan's not going to turn on. Secondly, there's a sensor on the radiator. Once this sensor hits a predetermined temperature, a small little spring inside will expand open, making two contact points touch. It's a very simple system, and this will turn your fan on. For whatever reason, that sensor, though, is always set really, really high. So what we could do is just bypass that and connect the two wires together, and that would turn the fan on, but then the fan would run all the time, and that's no good either. So instead, what we want to do is we want to bridge the gap between these two and add a small button. This way, when we turn the button on, the fan will turn on. But if we happen to forget to turn the button on, the fan will still come on like normal once we've hit a certain temperature. Now, if you turn both of them on at the same time, you'll explode. This is the wire that goes to the sensor up on the radiator, and we're just gonna snip this off right here on the bike, leave enough room so you can solder back on this later. Normally don't like doing things like this, but this is the easiest way to do it without draining all the fluid out of the radiator. Because if you take that sensor off, you're gonna lose a bunch of coolant. This was a switch that I had from the Baja Designs kit. This had redundancy of parts, so it's a really solid little switch. It's not a momentary switch, it's an actual on-off switch. So just go ahead and stick some shrink wrap down this, get it out of the way. And remember, we're not just connecting these together. That'd be a switch that would just connect nothing together. We have to make a little tail that comes off of these. So the wiring I'm using is much thicker than the other wires on here. So this will more than handle the current that's gonna be running through it. We're gonna use these guys. If you didn't see these on my last series, these are just these cool things. This is solder, shrink wrap, and glue all in one. I like these things, they're pretty cool. Speed things up, and they make it actually pretty good joint. This would work for any system that works this way. This isn't like a DRZ only thing. This is just how you would do this. That's kind of what we're looking for there. I know it sounds silly, but it really doesn't matter which way we put these wires. Funny how people always think of wires going to things as being negative and positive. Most of the time, they're both just positive.
If it's a switch.
If it's a switch, yeah. Yeah, not everything, but yeah.
If it's a switch and you connect the positive and the negative, you just made a switch that every time you flip it makes a short.
Yeah, it makes
so it's a great fuse popper, but that's about it.
There goes the solder. Solder away. There it goes. Look at that solder. See how it squishes in there? It's satisfying, isn't it? See, I put shrink wrap down here. Yeah, thinking ahead. I know what you're thinking. Look, Jake, that gap didn't close up. Look what I also put, a smaller piece of shrink wrap. This is an amateur hour over here. Look at that little overlaps. Pretty, isn't it?
I love featuring.
I swear to God, I have no rhyme or reason as to why the audio works and doesn't work at different points. But anyway, as you can see, once we plug everything back in, you can imagine the sensor is as it was, plus these two other wires splitting off going to the button. Everything else is the same. So when we click the button, boom, you see the fan turns on. Awesome. But let's also make sure that sensor is still working. So all we have to do is aim the heat gun at it, get it nice and hot, and after a few minutes, the fan comes on again. Now remember what I said, what happens if we turn them both on at the same time? It blows up, right? No, nothing happens. So the cool thing with this system is the sensor still works. Like if you forget to use the button, you still have your fan working as normal. If you want to, you can click that button. And again, this only comes on with switch power. So if you like forget that it's on, it's not like it's gonna sit there and run and drain your battery or anything crazy. And from there, we secured up all the wires, found a good place for the switch. It looked nice and clean. And then again, you gotta test the sensor one more time because look, how satisfying is that? You push a little button, the fan comes on. It's the coolest thing ever. Got Ian's turn signals over here.
And it goes out. No.
Oh, I know. Ian had these little tabs. You didn't even put these on here, didn't you?
You and I made these.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
We made these years ago in a bad pinch.
Okay, I like that there was a bad pinch.
It was bad. No, we made these out of a piece of like angle iron, like, or, you know, with the iron that you have with the.
These things are terrible. They have to be flared out slightly. So what Ian did is he's like, hey, I can just drill a little hole right here in this metal bracket. That's what he's done. There's some overspray. It's fine.
Onto the bolt.
Under the bolt.
Yeah.
This is a piece of steel, so we put a little puff of paint on it.
So now we can go through the new holes we drilled and mount these in a less awful spot. They've got such a long reach on them that they clear the shroud easily. No way.
Spin it in. I thought you went big enough.
I thought I did too. We painted them and everything. Okay.
Never mind.
Just a little bit more. Oh, look at that. The shroud is almost buttoned up against that turn signal. That's
Same over here. It's actually, I think it may just be making contact, which is pretty cool. That looks really clean then.
Well, I'm glad I didn't go any further that way. Where now the brake line is, okay, now it's not touching.
Look, it's got a little home right there.
Yeah, look at that. That looks so much cleaner.
It does. Ian's wiring back here is a little, it's a little shady.
Leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, so we're gonna clean this up. So they kind of fall between them. Like if I just grabbed here with the 16 and pulled it, I would end up with like a weird half cut thing. So what you can do sometimes, you go down to like the 18 or 20 or whatever this is. You kind of like score it a little bit to try to like put that same spot in the other one.
If you buy nicer stuff, you won't have to deal with that.
This is OEM though. This is yeah.
Oh no.
I know, that's real common.
Nah, it's okay. It's because these are standard wire cutters and it's metric wire. It's fine.
Sure. Once again, I mean, what I have is just much thicker wire, but that's fine.
I should have brought some wire. It's good in case I ever want to tap off my turn signal for like a cigarette lighter.
So let's go for
this mess of 3 different connections in this short amount of space.
That's why we're not reusing this. You got 3 wires coming out of here. You got your brake light, turn signal, and turn signal. We want to run them up along the side of the frame here. Wire loom on them here. And there it is, looking nice and cleaned up, all zip tied together and safer now. So Ian's old hand guards were all tore up, as Supermoto hand guards often are. So we got a nice new set. They're basically all universal fit. They don't quite line up. A lot of people just hammer the bolts in there and tweak everything. The easier thing to do is just to bend them. You put them in a vise, you put a rag in there, you're gonna tweak them, bend them, try to do as gentle as you can without tearing anything up. That's what Ian's doing here. Now, inevitably, you'll still get a couple little scuffs in them. If you have a Dremel with one of those little Scotch-Brite kind of pads like this, it takes it out so well and they end up looking great. I usually just go over the whole things with them. Then throw them on, tighten everything up. Ian had these little plastic guards that go on the ends, and because we've tweaked the hand guards a tiny bit now to meet our application, these didn't quite fit, so we had a little bit of heat from the heat gun, and then they went on just fine. Then we stuck the tank back on, the side plastics, and we started on the next project was the rear rack. Now we got this rear rack to go on here, but Ian also wanted to add this small Pelican case on the back. See, Ian likes to take crayons with him sometimes, and he doesn't want other people to get his crayons in case he has to leave them on the bike. Maybe he goes in somewhere the crayons aren't allowed, and you don't want someone getting your crayons and drawing all over random walls. So you want to lock your crayons up so you've done your due diligence. You know what I'm saying? So we need to secure this Pelican case to the rear rack, and we need to do it in a way where the hardware is unaccessible. Now I didn't have the right size drill bit, so we went ahead and moved on to something else. I was gonna have to go get that in the morning. Ian has these side racks that we're gonna hold his Rotopax on. Super simple. So with these racks, they already have the mounting stuff for the Rotopax. You don't have to build a crazy thing out of a cutting board like we did with my bike. So we mounted those things right to the side, test fitted the Rotopax, and then bolted them on. It was literally just 2 bolts. These went on super simple, and they looked really good. Made the bike look super serious, in my opinion. Hello, we're back with proper audio. Everything is plugged in. I think that was the problem. I think a little cable got slightly unplugged. What happened is we had gotten this rack. I didn't have the right drill bit. So I went and picked up the correct drill bit. This thing, and so we're gonna go ahead and finish putting our holes in the rack, then we'll put our holes in the Pelican case, then we'll put them together, bing bada boom, let's go. I was gonna mask up the individual holes, but it'll be easier to blend it just all open. So we got some Krylon rust protection and just So we got our holes here and here. All that's left is to bolt it together, right? For this, it's some nice heavy-duty stainless. It's clearly way too long, so we're gonna have to work on that a little here. I'm trying to roughly figure out how much I need to cut these bolts down. Cut them right there. Okay, now we're ready to start putting it all together, and we've really made this into like a sort of like a conundrum of a thing here. You have to put this together in a certain order, or it's just not going to go together. You actually do need to stick these bolts in first. These are the bolts that will go down and hold into part of the subframe, because once this box is on top, we won't have access to them. Just to keep them from falling out on me while I'm moving all this around, we'll put a piece of tape there I can rip off in a minute. Bolt and a washer. What I'm going to do, a little bit of this gasket material around the bottom of it here and on the other washer when we put it together, just to try to help seal in this bottom here. Not a lot of water should ever splash up on this anyway, but let's make sure it's nice and sealed. I also, when I drilled the holes in the plastic box, I drilled them a minute size too small. There's a loud truck going by. Oh my God. Okay, I drilled them a minute size too small, then sort of just ran them through the plastic. So it's a very, very tight hole, but we'll do this just to sort of ensure that this thing is nice and watertight. I'll even put some on the bolt, the bottom of the bolt itself. Probably not necessary, but you know, it ain't gonna hurt anything. Got some poop brown gasket maker here. This is good stuff though. Sit something like this. I drove these in so tight, I'm gonna have to spin this now to get it to go through the plastic. Up inside the box, I will apply a little bit more of this gasket material around here. There's a nice nylock nut in here. Adding a little bit of this gasket material down here. These bolts are not going to be able to come off. Like even if you can get access to those Allens underneath, which you're not going to be able to, these bolts you're going to have to get into this box and get the rack off to get this thing off.
What?
It's just a fiddly way to have to do this, but I'll make it happen. I'll leave these a little bit loose until we get your, because your seat bolts will dictate the angle of this a little bit.
Got a cheapy seat cover because I didn't feel like dropping the money on a whole new replacement seat. So it's like 20 bucks on a seat cover, wraps over the factory DRZ seat, make you be able to ride a little longer without your butt hurting so much.
But also this is good too if you just don't want it to be a permanent thing. Like maybe
that's true, it's not permanent.
You want me to hold it while you're doing that? So it's like, it'll be in shot too, I'll do this.
Wow.
I'm helping so much right now, aren't I?
Yeah, you're the greatest. These, I guess, are just gonna have to get tucked under there.
It looks funky, but it also looks incredibly comfortable. And like we've talked about before when buses and loud things are going by, it's all about functionality over
function
form.
over form. Whenever
Looking ugly is a venture. You and your fancy shoes.
I came from work today.
Oh. The rest of this, there's room for things. We just gotta
Oh God. Hold on, it's okay, it's okay. We're gonna have to do this, and then this.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It'll be okay.
Get a grip on it
with your fingies.
Just take the rack off now.
Yeah, that's just not a feasible solution though.
Well,
because we can't take the rack off every time we gotta take the seat off.
You end up with weird goofiness things where you make 15 steps to do something.
Throwing the bike away.
Because we've added this box here, see this is protruding forward. Normally you'd have that space in there to pop the seat in. Something we didn't even think about. I mean, I didn't even cross my mind that would be an issue, but...
Same. There we are.
Kind of. Well, we know it's all possible then. It just might mean a little more work.
It might not be possible with the seat cover.
Now your Rotopax are probably in the way.
Is that going in?
Yep, you can drive yours in if you want. These locks that Ian's got almost fit.
We thought of different ways to do this. This is fine.
It's such, yeah, we're removing such a minute amount of material. There it is.
It's tight though. Yeah, might want to go up one size.
This one's, you just gotta be more of a man about it, dude.
It actually might be better. That way they don't, they're not gonna be flopping around too much. So
that's what I'd say too.
Shut up.
It goes
this way. This beveled edge
yeah, it's beveled.
matches that.
Ian didn't bring any riding gear. We want to go do like a quick little squid run around the undeveloped area in my neighborhood. What size foot do you have?
Like 12.
Yeah, I don't have boots that'll fit you at all. They want to see it. They want to see it. Everyone's still. There's so many people that doubt this thing. I gotta make sure they see that it's not a piece. I keep my hand up on it, but it's not like I need to. This is something I always do to any lift when I take a bike up and down. I just like to have a hand on it,
Just in case it falls.
It
will also hurt you.
Yeah, it will also hurt me really bad. So you've ridden the bike around. How is it?
It goes.
You're welcome. I did that. We did forget to install this. This is a fender bag. A fender bag goes on the fender. It hooks on. It's a thing. It's got these little clippy doos. You're supposed to like notch the fender for them, but that's dumb. So I got some small hardware at the store. I'm gonna drill a hole through this guy, and we're gonna make little bolts in the front. We'll put it on. So first thing I gotta do is drill little holes in this thing. Smells good, doesn't it?
They're both off the same amount, but they go in opposite directions.
So in accordance, what we'll do, we have our holes in here. We'll just line this all up on here, then we can drill our holes. Tusk tells you to just put little notches in the plastic. We looked online and people talk about it still can slide when you do that. Doing it like this is just a little more, just more beef basically. These are nylock ones, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Look at me, I bought you some good. Cool, so now it physically cannot move.
These anchor it, and then these just help keep it from flopping.
I mean, it can't go anywhere now. Oh my God, you have an adventure bike, dude. You ready for some adventures, Ian?
Yeah.
Careful, hold on. It's been a group effort to get the bikes here.
I'm just pretty beat, man. Great, I'm hallucinating now. He's shutting down like I am. He's not doing too well.
There it is, folks.
Haven tent set up here. Look at the views. Closure just no longer slick.
This should work.
Incredibly frightening.